Today we're going to talk about moon phases. So when we first talk about moon phases, we need to understand that the moon has motion. It is rotating and it is revolving. The moon's rotation takes about 29.5 days, or we could average it out to a month. Its revolution around the Earth takes approximately 27.3 days, or again, about a month. Because the rotation and revolution are at about the same speed, we always see the same side of the moon as it's viewed from Earth. Now, the only reason we see the moon is because it reflects sunlight. The moon itself has no energy source. It's reflecting sun. Because the moon is changing position relative to the sun and the Earth, we see different angles of that sunlight being reflected. There are times in the month where that light is increasing, and there's times in the month where that light is decreasing. This is what we call the phases of the moon. Now, as it changes, it may be increasing in light or decreasing in light. If it's increasing in light, it is said to be waxing. If it is decreasing in light, it is said to be waning. So when we talk about the phases of the moon, we know that there are 8 phases. The 4 main phases are a new moon, a full moon, a first quarter, and a third or last quarter. But we also have crescent and gibbous that we have to look at. So let's take a look at those. So when we look at the cycle, the first thing we need to do is find the sun. So you notice I have the sun here at the bottom. Just a little trick, if you ever have a diagram to look at, always turn the sun to your belly button. If you line the sun up with your belly button, you're always going to be lined up with the new moon. Because if I'm on Earth looking this direction, what I would see is black, because the back side of the moon is what's actually getting the sunlight. So this is the new moon phase, where it is about 0% illumination. Now the revolution is in a counterclockwise direction, just like other objects in space. So we're going to go in a counterclockwise direction. So after a new moon, we start to see a little bit of light on the right. So we are at a crescent. We get more light on the right, where we're at about 50% illumination. We're at a first quarter. More light till it's almost illuminated. We say about 75%. You're at a gibbous. And then we're going to get to 100%, which is a moon. You notice how we're gaining light on the right. This is the waxing phases. If we look at what's happening on the right side, we're gaining light, so it's waxing. So, a crescent moon, this would be a waxing crescent because it's illuminated on the right. Gibbous, this would be a waxing gibbous because it's illuminated on the right. Now, after the full moon, we start to lose light on the right. So you notice it's dark on the right now. This is still a gibbous because it's still about 75% illuminated, but it's on the opposite side. Third or last quarter, you notice it's dark on the right now, but we're still at about 50% illumination. And then a crescent where all we see is about 25% illumination. So this side is the waning. We are losing light. I always look at what's happening on the right. Waxing, you're gaining light on the right. Waning, you're losing light on the right. So this would be a waning crescent and a waning gibbous because they are dark on the right. Now, the quarters, the first quarter are the beginning phases, so it's light on the right. The third quarter or the last quarter are the ending phases, so it is dark on the right. The entire cycle takes approximately 1 month, so we can break it down into the 4 main weeks. So for week 1, we go from a new to a first quarter. Week 2, first quarter to full. Week 3, full to third quarter. And week 4, third quarter back to new. Now those are rough estimates of days because remember we said it takes about 29.5, close to 30 days, so it may not be an exact date. So let's take a look at a calendar and see what that looks like. So this is the calendar for the month of February. So if we take a look, we have different objects here. If we find the new moon. The new moon is on February 11th. About a week before the new moon, we have the third quarter. You notice it's dark on the right. Just after that, a week after and a day, we back to the first quarter. A week and a day, we are at a new moon. Now you can kind of see the transition as you go through. It's getting darker on the right, so we know we're in the waning phases. Till we get to a waning crescent, back to new. Now we're gaining light on the right, so we are in the waxing phases, continuing waxing until we get to the full. So predicting the dates is just a matter of finding one that you know and counting backwards or forwards.